because it was pressing on a nerve. Well, I didn't want that to happen to me, so I grabbed the wrist and held on to it. And they took me inside. And it started to pain, and I said, "Doc, you better hurry up because it's starting to pain." He said, "That's okay, we're going to put you to sleep now." And when I woke up, it was set. And they had tape. They used tape. They secured my arm to my chest. And I had it put up with that for about 10 days. And after a while, it smelled. And when they took the tape off, they took half my skin off. But then
But you lived through that.
It took all sorts of
Therapy.
therapy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Physical therapy.
Yeah, but it was with the water,
Oh.
aqua therapy.
Oh, oh.
And I'd have it in a warm tub.
Mm-hmm. And this was in Salt Lake?
No, this was in
This
Davis
was in
Montham
King City at Davis Mountain
Field.
at
And,
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, that's right, okay.
and I was there,
And
wasn't I? I went out with you.
yeah, there was a big hullabaloo, and I heard a truck discharging a bunch of guys, a bunch of crew members, and they had been on a flight. They came in and landed, and the plane went too far down the runway and off the runway, and it caught fire. Fortunately, everybody got out, and they were bringing them to the hospital to be examined. Then I heard that there was a mid-air collision of two B-24s.
Wasn't that the next day? All on the same day?
And one day we lost 3 airplanes and 2 crews. It was almost combat losses. But I heard about the mid-air collision. Then the more I heard, why I finally learned that it was my crew. And a man who had been put on in my place was killed up at 20,000 feet.
Was that his first flight?
I don't think it was his
No.
first flight.
No, I meant, well, there.
But
And his captain,
the first pilot,
was a good friend, came from Brooklyn.
Where were they bound for?
No, they were just,
they were just formation
In
flying
training.
practice.
Yeah.
yeah.
High altitude formation flying.
But since
Our crew was one of 3 planes, and another first pilot came in with his crew, and he had been off for a period of time with a lot of dental work, and he was just qualified to get back to flying status.
yeah.
But he had missed a lot of high altitude training. And he showed up with his crew. They gave him an airplane, told him, catch this group, they're flying around over Phoenix at 20,000, and join them. Well, he didn't know that if you accelerate up there and you're trying to catch somebody, and then when you're about to catch them, even if you close the throttles, you're still
Going forward.
yeah. And his plane chewed the tail off the plane that had my crew members. And both planes were going down into slow circles, and other planes that were in the area were calling down, jump, jump. Nobody jumped, no parachutes. So 19 men were killed. And the operations officer asked me if I would accompany the first pilot's body back to Brooklyn because I was from Queens.
And he was a good friend of yours by then,
Yeah,
Pete Block.
so I agreed, and I went back and had to explain to the family what went on. But at least you get
And that's
straight
another time
story.
when
Yeah.
I stayed home, because we didn't know what they were gonna do with you when you got back, you know, where you'd go. So
Yeah.
it was worthless for me to go out to where you might not be when I got there.
Well, we did a lot of traveling on the trains.
Oh, and I think it was, I don't know what month it was, but Ginger was due in May,
Yeah,
so I didn't wanna be chasing after you. I thought I'd be better off at home.
yeah. When I got back to Tucson, it took a long time for my arm to improve to the point where they put me back on flying status. And then there were no more
Training flights.
bomb group coming through. There weren't even replacements, there was a pause. So I was in operations flying as a co-pilot with majors and lieutenant colonels to get their flying time in. We'd go on cross countries. Finally, a group came in, they were gonna be a replacement group. And I was put on a crew as a co-pilot. And I had more time in the B-24 than the first pilot. So the major in charge said, Bill, you show up some morning with a parachute over your shoulder, and we'll give you a flight check. And you pass the flight check and you'll have a crew of your own. So
That came to pass. You did that. No?
I have to get it right, because,
They were gonna,
I went into operations
oh,
to take the flight, and the major behind the desk was shaking his head. I asked him what was the matter. He said, Bill, you're stymied by 3 orders, 3 separate letters. He said, you can't go overseas with so much, you have too much time to go overseas as a co-pilot. We're forbidden to check you out on the base to make you a first pilot. And thirdly, if we're gonna send you to transition school, E-24s, you can't go until you have 500 hours. I forget what the number was.
You're probably right.
But, no, it wasn't that much. But anyway, I said, isn't that tough? And I sat around flying, getting these little flights to build up my time. I finally had enough time. They sent me to Montgomery Field, Alabama,
The transition.
to B-24 school. And I got a 10-day delay en route, like another furlough. So I went up to New York, saw Ginger for the first time, went down to Maxwell Field, Alabama. Then on the way back to Arizona, they gave me a 10-day delay en route again, up to New York, out to Tucson, Arizona. When I got to Tucson, at first they said they had been training me to become an instructor at that base.
Oh.
And I said, well, boy, that's not bad.